Hello and welcome to Social Media Weekly, episode 29th July 2020. Social Media Weekly is brought to you by Virtual Palace Marketing, rehumanizing your marketing experience. My name is Sean. This week's news: Instagram tests fundraiser feature. Bangladesh removes free access to social media. TikTok announces 200 million for creators. Twitter mulls paid model. Facebook creates social media for bots. Back to the stories. Instagram tests fundraiser feature. Late last week, Instagram announced the release of a fundraiser feature in a few markets. This will allow users to link directly to fundraiser from their profile page. Instagram will first vet the fundraisers to make sure they meet the guidelines. There are certain guidelines beforehand, before users can actually run fundraising campaigns on the platform. Once done, they can run for an initial 30 days with an option to extend for another 30 days. So it's not exactly a long-term fundraiser kind of format. It's a short-term thing. All fundraisers will be powered by Facebook Pay, a nice way to activate their newly introduced payment system and also get funds into the circulation so that they can start to monetize the money that is in there. Right. So two things here. Instagram and Facebook in general has been taking advantage of fundraisers because a lot of people have been using social media to raise funds for a cause, which is a good thing. So instead of it being like by the way kind of stuff and it's not supported by the social media platforms, Facebook says, you know what, we're going to set up the whole platform. We're going to let you use it. In exchange, we're not taking a cut from you because it's fundraiser, so it's not nice to take a cut from you. We make sure it is facilitated through Facebook Pay. So what is Facebook Pay? How does Facebook Pay make money? Is that, think about Facebook Pay as kind of like a bank. It doesn't have the power of a bank in a sense that, maybe not yet, in a sense that people can save money in it and people can take loan from it. But what happens is the more money is being circulated within their pipeline, they hope that there is opportunity for transaction from the business end, and then they also hope that more people will put money in than people taking money out at the same time at any given time. So there is access of cash inside their pipeline, in which they can take their money, which is usually a percentage of all the money that is within a certain account, Facebook Pay, and they will invest it somewhere and they will earn interest from it. Or they could take the money and they could loan it up to some other business, micro businesses in some parts of the world, and they can make interest on it as well. So that is what essentially Facebook Pay is supposed to be. That it's not just a platform for transaction. They hope to be able to utilize people's savings or money that hasn't been withdrawn to do something with it. Bangladesh removes free access to social media. Bangladesh regulators have ordered telco operators and internet providers to stop providing free access to social media to its users. The reason is that free access to social media will spur misuse to commit crimes. That's what the Bangladesh government says. There is, however, another reason why Bangladesh and even India wanted to prevent social media companies from providing free access. Social media companies like Facebook and Twitter, right, they pay the cost of connection in order to accelerate the growth in these markets. So it's not exactly free. So what they do is they compensate telco companies. For example, we have Maxis here, right? Facebook will say, okay, we will pay for all the connection fees that happens within our platform, so that the users will not take it out from their quota. And in exchange, two things can happen. Number one is Facebook and Twitter gets a lot more data from users, and they get to accelerate the growth, right, of usage. So data can be monetized, definitely, because they run ads. And the usage growth is the one thing that they are banking on in the future. They are creating this user habit that that people will start to get reliant on their platforms like Facebook and Twitter for everything, and it will kind of create a bubble, and it will curb competitions from coming in because they can afford to spend money, right? Kind of like predatory um, pricing. It's from the economic point of view, there is this thing called predatory pricing, where a company reduce the price to a certain point that actually prevents competitors from coming in because they can afford to do it, right? So once they kill all the competitors, then they will increase the price because they don't have competitors anymore. They can increase the price however they like it. And whenever the next competitor comes in, they will reduce the price again to starve out the smaller competitors that does not have the cash flow or the bank as they do. And then once the competitor dies, they will increase the price again. So that is what countries like Bangladesh and India are afraid of. And they are taking advantage of the people because they know that these are the few groups of social media users that they want to reach out to because they fall into the bottom billion, which means that the bottom billion people who are currently rising out of poverty, and there's a good advantage to reach out to them. So Facebook has this thing called Free Basics program, where it has already been banned in India for violating net neutrality, where it gives people free access to the internet via Facebook. So which means that you can access internet, many things on the internet, but it has to be via the Facebook's platform. So it creates a dependency on the platform, which prevents fair competition with others. This is why these companies need to be very careful when social media platform says we will pay for free access, because on the below the surface of it them being so nice, there's actually ulterior motives that are very selfish. TikTok announces 200 million for creators. TikTok Creator Fund is aimed at the US market, particularly trying to promote creative creators to participate while making a decent living at it. Good writing, Sean. The company has been facing mounting pressures from many countries over claims they are sharing vital personal data with the Chinese government. President Trump has even called for the app to be banned. Chances are it will not be banned because the US cannot provide for that unless there is a very strong reason to ban the app. Many other countries have already banned it. We talked about it in the past few weeks. TikTok has been trying hard to disassociate itself from the Chinese government, which includes pledging to employ 10,000 more staff in the US and rumors of US investors buying a majority stake of the company. So TikTok is working very hard to clean itself from its anchor, break free from the anchor of it being a Chinese app, because the company has been going through massive growth, and because of that, they are kind of working very hard to keep the growth trajectory. And the best way to do it is to disassociate itself as a tool for Chinese government data infiltration. And yeah, one of the way to do it is to pay more creators, make sure the creators make a lot of money, and so that there is more content in there, and it kind of slows it kind of like prevents the slowdown a little bit. Meanwhile, on the other end, they want to be able to disassociate in the sense that they want to have a more of a mix of staff. They want more American staff so that it's a little bit more democratic, and they want US investors to buy over the stocks as well. It may work, or it may not. We'll see. Twitter Mull's paid model. As predicted last quarter, Twitter's ad revenue dropped significantly due to struggling businesses during COVID downturn. CEO Jack Dorsey announced that the company is thinking of a subscription model that would complement the free and ad-based model. Perhaps one that is ad-free and with all the tracking disabled. Despite being one of the most crucial platforms for journalism and civil activism in the past, Twitter has always struggled with scalability and monetizing its services. Perhaps this model will work. However, just after a massive security breakdown from the company, the one where all the top influencers had their accounts hacked because of the employees, this whole Bitcoin thing. If you haven't been checking out our last episodes, maybe you can go back and check it out, or you can Google up and read up. We don't think Twitter is in any position to ask for money yet, so security is still something that they need to work on. In these terms, it's not security in the systems, but it's security in the people. Maybe Jack Dorsey needs to band together all the employees, ask the tough question, why are my employees betraying my company for a quick buck on the side? That's the first thing they need to talk about. But from the paid model, actually does make sense because Twitter, we cannot deny it, right? Twitter is a foundation of journalism, even more so than Facebook, more so than Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. It is where the Arab Springs happen. It is where all the civil unrest and exposure of government injustice happens. It is the cradle of freedom of speech today and coming to the future. But as a company, it is struggling. It has been struggling to monetize. Ads are doing okay, but it's not exactly, it's not exactly the best thing in the world. So maybe a paid model can work. People will still get the same access to Twitter, but the only difference is that there will be no ads and there will be no tracking. So Twitter will run a lot faster. There's no tracking of it. There's no tracking. They maybe pay maybe 99 cents or $1.99 a month to access it. And yeah, that could work. Most people will still be on the free tier, which means that they will still have the same access to everything, except that there is tracking in which Twitter makes money through ads and selling of the data. We decide whether we want it or not. Facebook creates social media for bots. Humans need not apply. Facebook has created a special social network filled with bots. It's called WES, Web-Enabled Simulation, which uses the bots modeled on human behavior to replicate usage patterns. According to Facebook, quote, bots are trained to interact with each other using the same infrastructure as real users, so they can send messages to other bots, comment on bots' posts, or publish their own, or make friend requests to other bots. The purpose of this project is to test for potential vulnerabilities in order to detect and address such before they impact real people. So, okay, the key thing is here, Facebook wants to move forward, like they want to preempt all the problems that will arise in its platforms and not wait for humans to complain or humans to find it out. So they actually create a simulated social media network, WES, and they use this network. They train all the bots with all the capabilities of humans to interact with each other, like how we do on Facebook, and then kind of like fast forward everything and find out what can potentially go wrong based on the algorithms, and from there can apply to Facebook and say, okay, it's kind of like a Minority Report kind of thing, preemptive something. I don't remember what was the keyword, but it is a preemptive thing in the sense that it is running simulations to find out what can possibly go wrong and fix it before it actually goes wrong. It's nice, it's cool it's cool and all that, but I do think that Facebook needs to put more attention on customer service instead. Perhaps with some attention on customer service, they actually will know exactly what we want instead of what they think we want. And well, this sounds like a very, quite a big task. And come on, customer service, Facebook, customer service. Listen to what we have to say. It is unsettling. God knows what the bots will talk about us behind our backs, and if they would one day plot to overthrow humans. All right, that's it for Social Media Weekly this week. Social Media Weekly podcast available on Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Our full videos are available on YouTube, and we post bits and clips on Instagram and Facebook. This is Social Media Weekly, episode 29, July 2020. My name is Sean. Au revoir.